Hello, I'm Sudarshana Starshine Star, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. It's a beautiful Saturday. It's August 16th, 2025. I have a YouTube channel called It's the Dazzling of the Light, or you can just type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star to access my, is it 260 clips I have there now? Maybe a little under that. I'm not sure, but it's around there, and it's all very interesting, very juicy. I really don't do mundane subjects, so why not check it out, and why not join? Hit the notification bell and all that good stuff. It's free, it's very interesting, and thank you in advance for doing that. I begin all of my clips with the 3 opening prayers, which are in Sanskrit and Telugu, and they are short, and this is to bless, uplift, purify, and protect you, me, and this clip. They are the Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. But before I do that, I'm going to also command on the sacred, holy blood of Jesus the Christ, of Yeshua, to wash over all of us and all this social media, all these posts, all of our beloveds, to really bless and bring healing and bring succor and bring hope, peace, right thinking, meaning proper discernment, and contentment. It's very important. It's very important to be content in the moment as best as we can be. So I call upon the sacred blood of Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, to wash over all of us, flow over all of us and all of our beloveds, human beloveds and animal beloveds, and to please remove all satanics, all satanic attachments, all demonics, all demonic attachments, and to please cast out the spirit of pain, cast out the spirit of fear, cast out the shaming and blaming process that goes to the negative, which is not exactly right judgment or proper discernment many times, and cast out self-hatred, self-dislike, or projection of that onto others, or reception of those stances from others. And we thank you, Yeshua. Please heal the wounds in our soul, according to your will and according to the will of whomever's listening to this. It's your will, if you want to be a part of this or not. And send your healing presence now, Yeshua. Thank you so much. We receive your healing, Yeshua. I also call on the power and the presence of Mother Mary to bring her holy guidance and blessings and huge hugs from such a divine mother, a divine Ma. Bring her sweetness, her light, as well as her strength. And she has a ferocious heart. Bring that Ma for us. Share it with us and bless us. Thank you so much, Yeshua and Mother Mary. And now for the prayers. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmahi Sri Guruve Namaha. Om Suklam Bharataram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vignupashantaye. Om Bhurbhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Excellent. Well, I haven't quite decided what I'm going to call this clip today. It's going to have two different parts to it, but I wanted to share this from Ariel at Proletario on X, whom I really like. Doesn't mean, I have to stress this, doesn't mean I agree with several of the posts that Ariel makes. I don't have to agree with everything, and I don't require everyone to agree with me all down the way and board. I mean, that's very boring. You know, follow your intuition, follow your Brahma consciousness, your divine consciousness. Like, decide for yourself. Do your own research and investigation. Not watching television, not just using Google or Wikipedia. Those are corrupted. Use Bing Brave browser or other independent browsers that can lead you to different sites like rumble.com or bitchute.com or UgeTube, spelled UGETube.com. YouTube still has a lot of really good stuff on it. I still really like YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Things like that to find out different topics to type into the subject line and to get a chance, because if you just use Google or Wikipedia or corrupted things, you're just going to hardly go from A to B, much less A to Z. Okay, so Ariel posted a little bit back, but I just feel to really share this today because I am all about the truth, the 360 truth. That means truth of spiritual and material in all aspects. So he posted something a little bit back called The Hidden Atrocities of a Hollywood Titan Exposed, the Iceberg in View. And I'm going to let you guys know what was said, and then I'm also going to give my own additional comments and POV on certain things. Okay, here we go. The subject, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Public persona. The icon is lauded as a humanitarian, with foundations supporting global health and education. Their social media presence, boasting over 100 million followers, projects an image of compassion and moral authority. Hidden truth. Behind this veneer lies a predator, whose actions include human trafficking, coerced exploitations, and financial manipulation, orchestrated through a network of enablers spanning Hollywood, international finance, and political spheres. The crimes, a tapestry of evil. The icon's transgressions are not isolated incidents, but a circulated pattern of abuse enabled by their unparalleled influence. The following details suppression by legal gag orders and media blackouts expose the depth of their depravity. Human trafficking and exploitation operation, quote, velvet curtain, end quote. The icon is a central figure in a clandestine trafficking ring operating under the guise of international charity events. Between 2010 and 2018, at least 47 vulnerable individuals, primarily women and minors from Eastern European and Southeast Asia, were lured to private estates in Los Angeles, Dubai, and Monaco under the pretense of modeling or acting opportunities. These victims were subjected to sexual coercion, forced labor, with some held for weeks in soundproofed quarters. Key event, a 2015, quote, charity gala, end quote, at a private villa in Malibu, attended by A-list celebrities and foreign dignitaries, served as a front for an auction of trafficked individuals. The icon personally oversaw the event, using encrypted communications to coordinate with intermediaries. Victims. At least 12 survivors, now under witness protection, have provided sworn affidavits detailing the icon's direct involvement. One victim, identified as Anna K., age 19 at the time, and I'm going to interrupt here to say this Anna K. must have been a biological male who was either dressing as female or who had, a boob job on top and male undercarriage, because the icon here, Leo, this is Leo, that as you can see in the thumbnail sketch that I'm going to provide on this clip, if you thought it was P. Diddy or Sean Combs that I'm talking about, no, it's Leonardo. Leonardo was a biological female, and if you don't know how to ascertain anatomy of male and females, despite all the incredible millions spent per person to either feminize or masculinize, all the surgeries, all the fat injections, as well as the use of prosthetics and hip pads and butt pads and Brazilian butt lifts and all kinds of things, as well as costuming help from the Oscar-winning costumers throughout the decades that have been dressing these creatures that are Baphomets. They're biological males that have been chemically castrated, never physically, but usually always chemically when they're very young, put on opposite sex hormones and given boob jobs and a lot of feminization procedures, as you can see in all the Victoria's Secret models and many of the A-list that you think gorgeous women. And then there are the biological females, same thing happening. They are put on the opposite sex hormones at a very, very young age, and also taught how to walk, how to speak, different mannerisms, things like that. And they also have a lot of MK Ultra, Mind Control Ultra. Yeah, they have a lot of, we could say, mind effery going on, as well as mind splintering, and lots of times what you just think is the most incredible actor or actress that you've ever seen, a lot of times they're just tapping into some trauma, into one of their personas. And but I'm not saying they're not good thespians, because these beings are incredible thespians. Leo was already lauded as an incredible thespian, and when you know that Leo is a biological female and also very, very evil, brought into the system as a young child, then you can really say, wow, that is definitely an incredible actor / actress. So this icon's direct involvement, one victim identified as Anna K, age 19 at the time, I'm saying that has to have been a biological male that appeared to be female, or like I said, or a Baphomet, because Leo was not into the females and was into the little boys and to the males. So like Giselle Bundchen was a biological male. These beings, I've already spoken enough about this on my Controller series or my Real Wheeler series on my YouTube channel. Let me just continue on with this, but I just had to interrupt that because when it's talking about women here, yes, Leo could have definitely been involved in trafficking this for other beings, but to Leo's personal taste, it was all about the dudes. Okay, so Anna K, age 19 at the time, described as being drugged and assaulted by the icon in a private suite with threats of deportation if she spoke out. I say if he spoke out. Modus operandi. The icon leveraged their production company, and the entertainment company here is redacted, to scout talent through sham casting calls. Victims were promised roles in major films only to be ensnared in a cycle of abuse. Passports were confiscated, and victims were monitored by private security firms with ties to former intelligence operatives. Financial manipulation, extortion. Shell companies. The icon controls a network of offshore entities in the Cayman Islands and Panama, funneling profits from trafficking and coerced labor into legitimate ventures. Over $200 million in illicit funds were laundered through, and the name of the entertainment company here is redacted, between 2008 and 2020, disguised as production budgets and charitable donations. Now, I have to interrupt to say, as Ariel's talking about this, Leo is not the boss, so is not in control of any network of any sort, is an owned piece of property by the evils. So no matter what it looks like, most definitely was not controlling a network, was just a cog, although a very visible one and very active participant in it. The evils, whether you call them the Khazaria Mafia, the Jesuits, the Illuminati, the 13 satanic papal bloodline families out of Venice and Rome, the corrupted Freemasons, Knights of Malta, whether you call them operating out of the Club of Rome, the Trilateral Commission, so many different names and different branches of one very hideous satanic tree that was allowed to really hold sway over this world for thousands of years. It's not these movie stars, even though they're very much a part of it, and I just want to be very clear about that. So, key transaction. In 2016, $15 million was wired from a Panamanian account to a Swiss bank under the icon's alias J. Sterling to silence a whistleblower who threatened to expose the Malibu Gala. The whistleblower, a former assistant, was later found unalived. in a staged car accident in Nevada. What a surprise, right? Yeah, gee, what a surprise. Blackmail network. The icon maintained a database of compromising material on industry peers, including directors, producers, and politicians to ensure silence. This, quote, insurance policy, end quote, was stored on encrypted servers in Singapore, accessible only to the icon and 2 trusted lieutenants. Covert intimidation and MURDER. Silencing dissent. At least 3 individuals who attempted to expose the icon met untimely unalivings between 2012 and 2019. A private investigator hired by a victim's family in 2014 was found hanged in a London hotel room, ruled a SUICIDE, despite evidence of foul play. A journalist preparing a 2017 expose for a European outlet died in a boating accident off the Amalfi Coast, with her laptop and notes missing. Enforcers. The icon employed a private security firm, and the name is redacted. It just says Redacted Solutions here, staffed by ex-Special Forces operatives. This firm was responsible for surveillance, intimidation, and in at least 2 cases, targeted eliminations to protect the icon's empire. The enablers. A conspiracy of power. The icon's crimes were not committed in isolation, but were facilitated by a sprawling network of complicit individuals and institutions. Hollywood elite. Producer M.G., a prominent studio executive known for producing the icon's biggest hits, arranged logistics for trafficking operations using film premieres as cover for transporting victims. M.G. resides in Beverly Hills and remains active in the industry. Agent L.T., the icon's longtime representative at, and the name of the talent agency is redacted, but you can easily look that up for yourself, negotiated hush money payments to victims' families, ensuring non-disclosure agreements were ironclad. International facilitators. Sheikh, with the redacted name, a Middle Eastern royal based in Dubai, provided private jets and properties for trafficking operations. This individual hosted the icon at a 2013, quote, cultural summit, end quote, that doubled as a trafficking hub. Banker P.V., a Swiss financier operating out of Zurich, managed the icon's offshore accounts and laundered funds through art auctions and real estate deals. Law enforcement complicity. LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, deputy chief with the name not mentioned here, stationed in Los Angeles. This official quashed investigations into the icon's activities, dismissing victim complaints as, quote, unsubstantiated, end quote, between 2011 and 2017. I just want to have you note these dates because once President Trump came into office, along with the strong enactment and release of the White Hat Earth Realm Alliance, or many people call it the White Hat Global Alliance, but I prefer to call it the White Hat Earth Realm Alliance, which has been doing the great scouring and cleanup of the satanics, the big cheeses, and then their millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of minions that have operated this dark cult network. That's been really messing with humanity, controlling humanity, stealing from humanity, raping humanity, unaliving humanity, doing hideous experiments with humanity, and very much, which I believe will be the unifying force that brings us all together once more and more and more humans find out what has been happening with their babies and children, the truth of it and the proof of it. That will really unify anyone who is sane together in a huge, mournful, grieving, yet very determined mode to completely scour this satanic, dark cult evil and off of this earth realm as much as possible, and to close down and clean out all the systems and institutions and governments and royal thrones and prime ministries and anything that was infiltrated, as much of it has been infiltrated and has been scoured and is still continuing to be scoured right now. We're still in the war. We're still in the great cleanup. We cannot get complacent. All right, so the deputy chief was rewarded with a consultancy role at the entertainment company's name is redacted here, post-retirement. FBI special agent, with the name not shown here, assigned to the Los Angeles field office. This agent suppressed tips from international law enforcement about the Icon's trafficking network, citing, quote, lack of jurisdiction, end quote. Media suppression. Major outlets, including a network, which is redacted here, and NI, which is in brackets, which I can only assume means the National Enquirer, were paid to bury stories about the icon. Misconduct. A 2018 investigative piece by a Pulitzer-winning journalist was spiked after the icon's legal team threatened a $500 million defamation lawsuit. Suppressed evidence. The keys to exposure. The following pieces of evidence, deliberately concealed, hold the power to dismantle the icon's empire. Encrypted communications. A 2015 data breach at, it says redacted solutions, revealed emails between the icon and trafficking intermediaries, detailing victim movements and payment schedules. These files, seized by Interpol but never released, are stored in a secure server in The Hague. Survivor testimonies. Affidavits from 12 victims collected by a European human rights NGO, nonprofit organization, detail the icon's abuse with timestamps, locations, and corroborating witnesses. These documents are under seal in a Brussels court pending international prosecution. Financial records. Leaked Panama Papers data. Cross-reference with Swiss banking logs. Trace the icon's illicit funds to specific trafficking operations. These records are held by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, but have been withheld from public release due to pressure from U.S. lobbying groups. Video footage. A hidden camera planted by a whistleblower at the 2015 Malibu Gala captured the icon interacting with victims and intermediaries. The footage, smuggled to a safe house in Berlin, is in the possession of a former MI6 operative working with victim advocates. The cover-up. A fortress of silence. The icon's ability to evade justice stems from a meticulously crafted cover-up. Legal intimidation. The icon's legal team, led by redacted law firm name, has filed over 30 lawsuits against journalists, victims, and whistleblowers since 2010, bankrupting most protracted litigation. Media manipulation. Positive press, including orchestrated profiles in redacted magazine name, probably something like Vanity Fair, and a redacted network name, portrays the icon as a saintly figure, drowning out whispers of scandal. Political influence. Campaign donations to U.S. senators and foreign diplomats, totaling $12 million since 2005, have ensured investigations are stalled. A 2016 FBI probe into the icon's activities was abruptly closed after pressure from a senior White House official. Witness elimination. The unalivings of key witnesses disguised as accidents, or SUICIDES, have severed critical links in the chain of evidence, leaving survivors too terrified to speak publicly. The motive: power, greed, and depravity. Okay, so that's the end of Ariel's post, but I want to say that, which I've spoken about, once again, you can go look on my YouTube channel and see the Controller series or the Real Will series. I've spoken about this pretty, extensively, but what you're seeing now, anyone who participated in crimes against humanity, that means treason, that also means when you are RAPING, when you're a pedovore, when you're taking that substance. First part, I'll say adreno, and then I'm going to give you the second part of the word, which you can put together to form one word. The second part of that is chrome. There's also chromochrome. If you don't know about these substances, I'm not going to go into it here. You can look into that for yourself, but it's obtained from the extreme torture and adrenalizing of the BLOOD of babies and children. So anyone, which was a lot of the A-list that was partaking in that, and that has been going on for a very long time, not just 100 years, not just 200 years, but beyond that. And you can see that when you go into some of our great museums and you see this incredible, these great, huge, beautiful, amazingly depicted artwork canvases, and then you look at the subject matter and you keep saying, why are they holding like these little babies, and there's groups of these men around with these huge knives, and or things of looking like the limbs of the babies and infants are being severed and falling on the ground in these huge masterpiece artworks. And no, the baby that's being shown is not supposed to be Jesus. It's just like a baby shown up. Why do you see this over and over and over again? Because this procedure by the pedo and pedivore satanics, the dark cult, has been going on for a very, very, very long time, linked to their worship of Moloch, M-O-L-O-C-H, and Baal, B-A-A-L, and also Baphomet. Okay, so Leo, like I said, as you know, I'm pretty sure you know, Leo started off as a child actor, and was a darling little girl, and you look at the little blonde girl baby, but the parents of Leo put Leo into the system if they were not already in the system, and they certainly do look like they were when I looked them up, but I don't have any proof about that. But definitely Leo was sold into this system. And you can see early on, one of the show that really brought fame to Leo was called Growing Pains, and there's some clips that you can look up for yourself. It was a docu-series about the producer called Brian Peck, who had been at that time when Leo looked so much younger. I thought Leo was about 12, but Leo was a teenager. But it's still so, Leo just looked like a baby. It was so inappropriate on that set when there was behind the scenes filming where Leo was flirting with the producer Brian Peck, and Leo kept putting Leo's hand on Brian Peck's chest and talking in lisp, and they were talking about how they love each other so much, and how they love to spend time together at each other's houses and draw pictures of each other. And it was so sus, but of course, who would ever think the depth of what was really going on there? But of course, there was sexual things going on there. And later, this same producer, Brian Peck, was charged with pedo behavior and had jail time. Peck was also known for his work at the pedo satanic Nickelodeon network in the late 90s and early 2000s. So in 2003, Peck was arrested and charged with lewd acts with a minor, and he also got 11 additional charges of child abuse. He went to jail in 2004, and the charges where he was molesting and doing terrible things with the child in 2003, that turned out to be the Drake Bell, who was the star of a show called Drake and Josh, that unfortunate person. So anyway, so Leo was brought into this and took to it with a gusto, I must say, because there's so much you can see about Leo. Some very disturbing photos. One I wish I could show here, but I can't. I'm already going to show on this thumbnail a picture of Sean Combs doing the deed at Sean Combs' house with the timestamp on it, excuse me, because Sean Combs, P. Diddy's home was much like Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion, was much like Jeffrey Epstein's homes. Everything had cameras everywhere, wired everywhere, getting all the evidence and filming everything for blackmail. And they do it to people, and they do it amongst themselves, these satanics and their satanic minions, because everyone's always keeping tabs on everyone, and everyone's always trying to one-up and threaten and coerce everyone else. And it's just very disgusting power plays in every which way, shape, and form. But there's like a really hideous picture of a young Leo holding up this big glass jar, which would look like a baby in it that was maybe like 6 months old. And it was called a punk, P-U-N-K. It was a malformed baby that was said to be owned by the artist Joe Coleman. And supposedly Leo was hanging out at Joe Coleman's Hollywood home. And Joe, the owner of this baby in a glass, named it Junior, and went in an interview. I think, an interview, and then this was exposed at www.liveaction.org by Nancy Flanders, where she was showing the photo of Leo holding the baby in a jar, and what Joe Coleman, who had been interviewed earlier at the time when Leo was young, about that baby in a jar, and the owner had nicknamed it Junior, and gone on and on about how Junior was like his son, like he loved it like a son. Very sick stuff. But the look on Leo's face, he's all in. Or I should say she's all in, or she was all in. Because I also want to reiterate here, and I really have to say, research this for yourself, not using Google or Wikipedia. There's a ton of evidence about it. If you don't know, it's time to know. These beings that were found guilty, that were given military tribunal and found guilty of either treason or crimes against humanity, or both, those are capital crimes. These beings are not walking around. They were almost every valuable, because they were valuable property owned by the evils, and they were owned, and they signed their contracts in blood, and they were all cloned, and there were also as the white hats kept picking off the crop, so to speak, which began, it really started hitting, and you started seeing it happening like in 2018, 2019. I was looking at what was called Twitter then, the creme de la creme of the Hollywood A-list, that were all putting these tweets out in desperate video clips and all warning each other, and they were just, a lot of them were on house arrest, or they were about to be, and they were giving messages to one another, whether it was David Spade or Sharon Stone, whether it was Maria Shriver. I mean, it was just so many. I can't really name them here, but I watched them all at the time. They are not around, and you just have to know that. If you don't know that, look at something which is a good clue of the movie Napoleon, which I stopped really going to the movies a long time ago, but when that movie came out, I was like, let me check out and see what Joaquin Phoenix is doing. And then when I saw that movie, which I actually went to see in person, which I hadn't done for many, many years, in a theater, and right when it opened, the whole thing was AI. The whole thing. There's no Joaquin Phoenix in it. There were other stars in there. There's no humans in there. Everything was completely artificial intelligence, and it was very a purgatory feel and very satanic feel. There's no life force spark. There's no life in there, and so that's why you see, when you're looking at things like streaming things, whether you're on Netflix or whatever, and you're looking at these streaming, these little kind of like memes they put up, to where they used to have pictures of the actual actors that were actual photographs or headshots or publicity shots or the poster for the movie. You'd see like actual humans in that. And then you're wondering, why do they all look like cartoonish? Why does Ryan Reynolds look like a cartoon? Why does Will Ferrell look like a cartoon? Why are all these, they're not showing the actual human? They're not around, and it's AI. So look into that for yourself. I want to switch into the, this is something that I got from, who sadly, this being was unalived in 2012, named Russ Dizdar, D-I-Z-D-A-R. He's the author of a book called The Black Awakening. And I just want to give you this information, because it's really important. It's not about being in fear, but you have to be apprised of what's been going on, what this war is about, the good versus evil, and how it's not just on the earth realm, it's in the heavenlies, it's in the cosmos, it's in the astral, and it's not over with yet. And of course, God will be victorious. The light will win. The light is winning, but we have to go through the steps of all the battles. We don't just jump to the end. So even though we can know, yes, the light is winning, as we can see, you can go around and just look around what's happening on the earth realm right now. Are there troubles going on? Yes. Are there traumas going on? Yes. Are there unalivings going on? Yes. Is there stuff going on? Yes. Is there a lot of corruption being unveiled? Yes. Is there a lot of good being done that maybe you are unaware of? Yes. But the war is still going on. We can't be complacent. We have to Go all the way to the victory. Keep going. Keep go. And rely on the divine. Rely on Mother, Father, God. Rely on Jesus and Mary. Rely on the divine to carry you through. That's the true solution. All right, so Russ Dizdar, the author of The Black Awakening, this was from something on June 30th, posted, called a social media poster called The Seventh Vial, V-I-A-L, on TikTok. And unfortunately, like I said, Russ Dizdar was unalived in 2021, and his wife, I believe her name was Stephanie, followed soon after. And yes, it's all under the guise that they're saying, it's all under the guise of that thing that was the reason for lockdowns a few years ago. You know what I'm talking about. But that's not the case. That Russ was had a line drawn through him, as well as his wife, like, shut up. I think you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so here's Russ doing a quick talk here to the Seventh Vial reporter or journalist on TikTok. When I started dealing with some ritually abused individuals, then we dealt with military-oriented, highly trained, programmed soldiers, these altars inside of them. What we began to do with them, I dealt with someone from Fort Bragg for quite a while and a few others. We're sitting at a lake, Connaught Lake, and that's spelled C-O-N-N-E-A-U-T Lake. They reached over, ripped open my shirt to see if I was wired, if I was wiring and recording them. They were the most sophisticated satanic warrior type person. They knew 5-6 languages. They knew the ancient twilight languages. They know how to conjure. They know how to use Beltashari, Okwa, all these old Pictish languages of the Druids to summon. They are the real Luciferian. They've been through many human sacrifice things. So they sat there to tell me some of these things, what they've been involved with, how they S-A-C-R-I-F-I-C-E, a human. I'm listening to all this stuff from them. And then they said, you have no idea, Russ, how many of us there are out there. How many satanic chosen ones. You have no idea how many. You have no idea what's coming. We smell Christian, B-L-O-O-D. We are waiting for our day when the call is given. Millions of us will be released. And they looked at me and said, you believe in revivals, and you believe in Pentecost and the power of God. You believe in all that. We believe in the Black Awakening, a multi-continental release of power to activate the programs. To activate the program, Demonized. That's the name of the program, Demonized. When they've got access to my powers, I'm not reading this correctly. A multi-continental release of power to activate the program, Demonized, where they've got access to my powers to these super soldiers. I do believe that millions and millions of these trained, programmed, altered, demonized super soldiers, whether we want to say it or not, they believe they're being raised up to help bring in the Antichrist. When I was in England just a few months ago, their top guy that deals with SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, and I have to remind you listeners that this interview, like I said, Russ was unalived in 2021, so this interview took place, before that. Like, I would even say maybe a couple years before that. Anyway, so Russ is going on saying, when I was in England just a few months ago, their top guy that deals with SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, Wilfred Wong. Yes, Wilfred Wong is really good, I'm saying. Wilfred Wong. First time I met him, I pulled him aside and I said, listen, you've been doing this 25 years. Yeah. I said, you know all about programming and demons, all that. Yes. I looked right at him and I says, Wilfred, why are they here in England? Instantly he said, they are here to collapse our government. They are here to help bring in and usher in the Antichrist and the New World Order. That's true in Germany. When we were in Germany, when we went to Wedelsburg Castle. That's true in Poland when we went there. That's true in Switzerland. That's true in Canada. When we talk about our research in 38 years worldwide, there may well be over 100 million. Generations of them, even if half or even if 10% were intact, like, say, the United States. Remember the SHOOTER in Vegas, Las Vegas? Look what he did. What if 10,000 of them were released in 1 week? That's their plot, plan, and biblical prophecies ahead of that to say, here is what is going to happen. And from that, a global monetary collapse. And from that, all that chaos is coming. So Revelation 13, a whole new order with the Antichrist can come. The secular world, they're registering, millions coming in for diagnosis on that. Now, they don't have the know-how to handle the satanic side. I'm going to tell you this straight out. After 38 years of dealing with it, not only is SRA, satanic ritual abuse, real here in the United States, that there are millions of victims by design. That's how new, I can't read this correctly. I didn't write it down correctly. I wrote down, that's theirs, now generations of them, or that's how generations of them we deal with 65 and 70-year-olds. They're the first generation. Then we go to 40-year-olds and 20-year-olds. I got 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds we're dealing with. Because if you don't stop this somewhere, they do it to the next generation. That's by design. That's the way it's supposed to be for them. But it occurs in selection. It's generational. They bring a lot of trauma to the child to cause split in personality so that they can demonize and or begin to program, like I mentioned before, MK Ultra, Mind Control Ultra, from the NAZI experiments and from the 1930s, begin to program. You're going to be a witch. You're going to be a conjurer. You're going to be a programmed KILLER. All kinds of these things happen. They're raised in that system. They're raised to keep all of that hidden down until later on. Millions have already shown up at psych wards all across America since the late 1970s. To this day, it's all about their insatiable hatred of God, anything they can do to humanity, harm innocence, as in God in a sense, as in harming God in a sense. So that's the end of that. But like I said, God bless Ruz Dizdar and his wife Stephanie. They unalived in 2021. And what I'm going to say, though, is because now we're here, as you very well know, in August 2025, the light is winning. We do see tons of demonics. We do see like what's happening with President Trump, which I'm going to do. I'm hoping today, but I can't promise today, but I have something really ready to go. Some really amazing good news about what's going on with the federalization of the capital of Washington, D.C., the capital of my country, United States of America, which was originally called the United States for America before it was hijacked in 1871 and made into a corporation in all caps called the United States of America. But really the Republic is going on and going strong and has been reestablished and will be even better. If you don't know what the real significance is about the June 14th, how President Trump installed and paid for those huge flagpoles and put up the American flags right in front of the White House, if you don't know that what's looking like it's just going to be this cleanup that's going to be, taking care of the homeless, bringing them to shelters and alcohol and drug treatment, or if they refuse, if they keep wanting to live in public places and stuff where it's illegal for them to, create these tent cities, they will be arrested and jailed. It's not just about that, and it's not just about also federalizing the corrupt Washington, D.C. police force and reestablishing law and order. That's a very big part of it. But if you really knew, which I will talk about very soon in the next clip or the next two clips I'm going to do and publish here, about the fantasticness of what's really going on, the freedom being restored to this great constitutional republic, the great things for we the people, and the pushback coming from so many of them. I mean, I think some of them most definitely are, NPCs are not human, but they're demon possessed and they're not in their right mind. When you see, I think you can see this, people that are protesting that they don't want to have law and order. They don't want cleanliness. They don't want drug dealers to stop dealing. They don't want people to stop rolling in the gutters and vomiting and defecating and urinating everywhere and exposing themselves to little children as they do that, amongst other things. And of course, not all people that are homeless are like that, but there's a good bit of that going on. And it's not just about cooperating with ICE and getting the people that are broken the law because they're here illegally in my country. It's not just about that, but that's a big part of it. So what we see in Washington, D.C., this federalization that's going on there of the police force, and you can see despite some things that they're trying to make it, like Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., is trying to put up a fight, you can see mostly that being, whom I don't believe is the actual Muriel Bowser 1.0, I believe that actual being was already picked up. But you can see the surrender of that. There's no real spark there. There's no real fight there of that being when that being's talking or trying to make like, we're going to stop this. No, there's a lot of acquiescence, isn't there? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. I'm going to talk about it in another clip, like I just said. So look forward to that because it's very good news. But I'm sorry, it's not good for people that worship the devil. It's not good news for people that are hardcore criminals involved in very serious crimes against humanity. It's not good news for them because these end times, it's not the end of humanity. It's the reclamation of the true human, and it's the end of the evils, the satanic evils and all of their minions, and the end of that rule. That doesn't mean that the earth realm is going to be completely spotless in every way, because the earth realm is a school, and we are divine sparks of Mother, Father, God, and we have choice here. There's duality here. There's light and dark, and there's a recipe of all that in each one of us. But this is the time to really improve those recipes and have a lot more light and a lot less shadow and darkness that is harmful to ourselves and to others. So I'm going to end this clip like I do with all of my clips. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That really helps me out, and thank you so much. I'm going to end it with a short closing prayer in Sanskrit and Telugu, and what I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds, because I pray for all souls, all types of souls, every type of soul that's ever been created. I pray for the redemption and the upliftment of all souls. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, peace, peace, peace. God bless you and yours. I'm wishing much love and big hugs to you and yours. I'll see you when I see you. And bye-bye for now.